Hello, I am Kamau Kujichagulia, and this is On the Case with Kamau Kujichagulia, where each week we bring you a personage of tremendous excitement right here from the city of Trenton. And tonight we have Brother Algernon Ward who will be joining us. But before he does, I have a few things to say. I want to, a lot of things go on and have been going on for years here in the city. A lot of bad things, really. And I'm a bit miffed, confused, upset that after, forever, they continue to have, it's like, like right now, I look at the present administration and I look back at the first 4 years that Gucci has been in, and I'm saying to myself, well, what exactly has changed? What of substance has, let me bring in Michael first. Michael, come on, Michael, you're going, okay. What of substance has changed in the city of Trenton in the past 4 years? And I don't know what anything of substance that has changed in the past 4 years. I don't know anything of substance that has changed in the past 40 years. It's a bit disconcerting that, where is Michael Hardeman? I don't know. That there's so much that is still the same now as it was 40, 50, 60 years ago. I mean, education hasn't changed. We got brand new schools, but everything continues to be basically the same. I don't understand that. Where's Michael? There he is. Were you in the car? Let's get rid of Michael. Yeah. Okay. The economics of Trenton. Well, that has changed. It's gotten poorer. It's gotten a lot poorer in the last 60, 70 years. And I don't know why we keep having people coming into office. I don't know why we keep having people coming into office. Shit. I mean, they manage the day by day running of the city, but they don't do anything innovative to help the city of the people of the city of Trenton. I don't, education shouldn't be that hard of a nut to crack to improve our education system, to improve the education that our children get. It shouldn't be that hard of a nut. And this is a tiny little city to improve the economic conditions of the people of Trenton. It shouldn't be such a hard thing to do to address the racism and the white supremacy here in the city of Trenton. For somebody to at least sit up and call it out and say, hey, look, we got to stop this. It's bewildering to me that, no, it isn't really bewildering. I mean, I understand the system of white supremacy, that no one is doing this. I mean, they discussed the old city council, and they said it was dysfunctional and blah 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 blah. But the new city council, from what I see, hasn't done anything either. I don't really understand it. But anyway, where you going, son?
I'm out and about at run to the store to get something for Messiah.
You had to run to the store to get something for Messiah.
Yeah, I
Huh.
told y'all that I was
Huh.
running
I
around.
hope I hope it was a prosthetic leg or something that you're running out to get. No, ain't you a clip? Okay, well you go on. We'll carry on without you. All right.
I told you I was.
All right. Very good. Very good. Very good. All right, Algernon, where you at? Come on here. Hey, what's up, brother?
How you doing?
I'm doing very, very well. How are you doing?
God's blessed me, man, and I'm still here.
That's very good. I hear you have some, some extremely exciting news to report to the city of Trenton.
I do.
You know, and did you and Sean get that video hooked up?
I
Sean,
did.
did you get the video hooked up?
I'm not sure.
Hello. She's not talking to me. I don't know why she's not talking to me.
She says she's working on it.
Okay. She put it in the chat. Working on it. Okay. Well, you have a video. Oh, there it is. What is this? What happens if I do that? There it is, right there. Can y'all see that?
I can't.
You can. Guess that didn't work. I don't know. Here she goes. Here she. See, I'm trying to do something. Just let her go ahead and do it. This is a video of what?
Well, it's a video that kind of gives a good outline of the Locust Hill project.
Okay.
Some students made it for me. They say a picture's worth 1,000 words, and they have a point. So, they made a nice little 3-minute video regarding the project. And so, I always find it's a good introduction. Also have a PowerPoint that kind of goes over the steps we've gone through the project itself, and one about the history of the cemetery. But technology can be challenging from time to time. I was all set to go with Zoom, but it was StreamYard. So that blew everything up. So yeah. So, but it is what it is, and it's always my pleasure to share time speaking with you, brother Kamau, because we go way back.
Yeah, we do.
And
we go back to when we were young men.
We were young, no gray.
Eh?
And
dreadlock. Both of us.
I had my braids, everything.
Yeah.
We go back that far. But from that time to this, you have been informing our people. You've been raising their consciousness. You've been talking about issues. You just brought up some stuff. I'm gonna shut up now. Let the video play.
Oh man, you was talking about me. Go on. No, okay. Let's see if we can get this.
Okay, I'll finish my comment before you hit.
No. Don't worry about that. Go on, Sean. See what we got.
We can't hear nothing though.
Wait a minute. Here it comes. Still can't hear nothing.
Yeah, I let it work on the sound.
Well, you can narrate it. Oh, there it is.
Subtitles.
All right. Okay. This is Locust Hill Cemetery right here in Trenton, right?
Yes, it's on Hart Avenue.
Uh-huh.
That's an aerial view of the area.
Uh-huh. And what is Locust Hill Cemetery?
Locust Hill Cemetery is the largest remaining segregated cemetery in the city of Trenton. It was the largest cemetery at one time because if you was black, you had to be buried in that cemetery, no other. Okay. Because the laws of New Jersey segregated burials. That's a shame you can't hear it, but in Trenton, it had gotten neglected, and they built a building on it, filled it with trash. But as you can see, we've been transforming it, and we're bringing it back and restoring it. And we're going to use this house on Hart Avenue, that's right next to the cemetery, to put Trenton's first Black museum. And that's me talking with the various stakeholders. As you can see, now that lot has been totally cleared out. And we've used a ground penetrating radar to identify the burials. And those purple crosses in there are places where we suspect that people are buried. And there's 10, and we got names from newspapers and burial records to show they were buried in Locust Hill. We found that there are at least 10 Civil War veterans buried in Locust Hill. Being Civil War reenactor, of course, I was fascinated by that fact. And we began having, on Memorial Day, we started planting flags at that graveyard, 35-star flags that they fought under on Memorial Day. This is the only Memorial Day ceremony that takes place in Trenton. And we got support from the community. Even the police came out, and Honor Guard came out and helped commemorate. The veterans came out. And so it has become for the last 3 or 4 years, the Boy Scouts came out. So we have a good group of people that come out to commemorate those soldiers on Memorial Day. We fire volley and talk about those soldiers. Now, the exciting part is that we had only 6 names of the soldiers. And just, I want to say 3 months ago, we found a 7th name of 10. And I am so excited about that, because now we just named one of the unknown soldiers. So we're rescuing those people who are buried in Locust Hill from obscurity, from being lost to history. And it's generated a lot of excitement among the people in the neighborhood. It's spurring neighborhood development. There's some abandoned houses on the street. We had them torn down. We're doing scientific studies of the Assunpink Creek right there, and we're characterizing the environment there. We did stream bank cleanups and pulled all the tires and trash out of the stream right there. And we've got the community involved with helping restore. We've had several cleanup days with the Kiwanis Club of Trenton and the Clean Water Watch group from here, Mercer County. So it's engendered a lot of interest. The College of New Jersey has come in, and we've done scientific studies on the birds and the bees and the plants and the fish and everything. So
you said what New Jersey did?
The College of New Jersey.
Oh, College of New Jersey. Okay.
Yeah. Trenton State.
Right. Yeah, there you go.
Because I'm alumni, and it's just fortunate that my association, I still had association with some of the professors and there, and they heard of the project, and they set me up, and it was a beautiful thing. They set me up with a meeting with some of the faculty. So I show up, it's like 20 faculty members from the College of New Jersey, from every discipline, all volunteering to step in and help us. And they've done archaeology there. We recovered a lot of artifacts, not just African American. We believe some of them are Native American. They go back that far. And we've been doing the archaeology there. Once we cleared off the brush, we were able to do those kind of things. We've done bird studies. We've got permission to do fish studies. We've measured the invertebrates. We want to put in what they call a monitoring station. That's something that constantly monitors the quality of the water in the stream and lets us know, in real time, what the condition of the Assunpink Creek is. Because at one time, that was the creek that all of those factories in the East Ward used to cool their cooling water,
right,
for all their manufacturing, and their rinse water, they would dump it right back into the stream. Well, of course, it destroyed the ecology of the stream, but now that those factories are closed, the Assunpink Creek is coming back. It's when I'm down there, I see geese and ducks, and there's fish in there. I wouldn't need them at this point because we haven't tested them, but there's fish in there, and the invertebrate species are indicating a stream that is healing. We've done plant studies, and we've removed all the invasive species and try to help out the native species. So we're doing not just cleaning up a graveyard, We're revitalizing the neighborhood. We're educating the people in the neighborhood about their local environment. We're restoring that area along the Assunpink Creek and called it Assunpink Greenway. There's going to be a skate park out there. There's going to be a lot of things. So I'm excited about the interest that the people, you were worried about the top down. I'm worried about the bottom up. We got the people to push the city to do this. It wasn't that they decided they would come in and bless us. We had to push them to do things. And I think that's the formula we're looking for, Kamau. Once our people start taking an interest in the city itself, the government officials, because they come behind. You got to understand, they're not leaders, they're followers. And they will do what we demand when we demand it. But we have to organize ourselves, my job, and then we put before them what it is we want. They still try to be rather paternalistic. I can tell you about the headbutting I've already had with city officials about how this project is supposed to work. But we made it clear, this is an African American graveyard. And white people from the suburbs, you don't come to call the shots. This is our ancestors. This is their burial place. You will respect it, and you will use our tax dollars to do so. And of course, that didn't go down very well. I can be abrasive. I got that from you.
You can get it from me, brother. I'm a sweetheart.
I used to be a nice guy. And then you come out a warrior.
Till I came around.
Yeah. Talking about Black Power. I'll listen to it. And I'm down. That's
good.
all.
Good. Hey, you got something done, didn't you? I see those artifacts you have hanging on your wall back there. You know,
Yeah,
maybe that's where some of that energy came from.
Well, of course it has. It's the ancestors looking over my shoulder.
There you go, brother. There you go.
They're the ones, and they're called out from the grave, and we heard them.
Yeah,
we restoring this. They were lost to history. Nobody even knew they were there. Everybody who grew up in used to call it the Indian burial ground. It was a trash. It was just an empty lot. Some older people in the 80s said, yeah, that's a graveyard, because when I was a kid, they found bones. And I dismissed it. What are they? But
really?
Sure enough, when we asked them to check, they first came back and said there's no evidence of a graveyard. And I said, maybe we ought to look at in another spot. And they said, okay, we'll check and come back. When they did that, they found all of this information about the Locust Hill graveyard. And it's really significant to Trenton history because the oldest remains in there are from 1799. They were enslaved people that the Quakers owned. To their credit, the Quakers were the first people to allow blacks to be buried in their graveyards. And the house on the corner of Hanover, see, I got a PowerPoint with all this in it. There's the Friends Meeting House on the corner of Hanover Street and Montgomery Street, that little building, building right there, the Friends Meeting House. Those Quakers allowed, the graveyard was right next door to that.
Their graveyard. Right.
There are 3 signers of the Declaration of Independence buried in that graveyard.
Oh, yeah?
3. That's people that signed the Declaration of Independence buried there in that graveyard. And Mr. Yard allowed his slaves, when they died, to be buried there as well. The Quakers have always been out front on abolition. And I have to tell you, that was before anybody. That's 1799. They stopped segregating graveyards in 1884, almost 100 years later. But they had already allowed it there. They were the only ones that allowed it there. In fact, where the YWCA is building right next, when they were building that, they found more remains. And that area was the black area. And those remains were removed and put in look, what happened was that land was very valuable. Mount Zion Church was given responsibility for the Negro burial ground there. And as downtown Trenton began to grow, that land became more and more valuable. And that
was Center City then.
Center City.
Right.
And so, yeah, you got this old Negro burial ground right in the middle of Center City. So they declared it a nuisance. They said, y'all gonna have to move this. So what happened was the legislature allowed the Mount Zion Church, which was the first free African congregation in Trenton, Mount Zion on Perry Street. They allowed them to buy land over in East Trenton in a place called Locust Hill. That's at the end of Hart Avenue off of Clinton Avenue in East Trenton. It was at that time called Locust Hill. And they allowed them to buy it for $1,700. And by the way, the women from the church held sewing parties and bake sales and promenades in order to raise the money to buy that land. And they bought that land, and that became, and the legislatures passed a bill that allowed them to acquire that and make a segregated burial ground. And that's how it wound up there. But they disinterred the slaves and other Black remains that were there and moved it out to Locust Hill. So that's why, and that was 1860 when they did that. That's why you have remains in there that are from 1799, because they came from the original Negro burial ground. And then moved.
So that cemetery's been there since 1860, 1864, you said, right?
1860. Well, the bill was passed by the legislature in 1860, and they took possession 1861, and we think that burial started immediately. So about 1861 was when it's actually being.
This wasn't just reburying from the Quaker cemetery, but also from Blacks that died subsequently then, right?
Yes. In fact, that was the only place you could be buried. If you died in the city of Trenton between 1860 and 1911, that's where you were. In other words, during the entire Reconstruction period after the Civil War, that's why you got 10 Civil War veterans in there. Because when they came home and passed away, they were put into the Locust Hill Cemetery. Anybody who Black, and there's a lot of luminary people in Trenton that are buried there. And that's what the museum is for, to tell the story of these people. That's what I mean when we rescued them from history, from the mist of time. We're bringing them stories back. And that's what the museum is actually going to be for.
So where did you get this information from, like the Trenton Library or New Jersey Library or where?
Well, remember,
Quakers, I guess too, right?
Yeah, that we've had a lot of help. Remember, I mentioned that the people from the East Trenton are the ones who said that was a graveyard y'all need to check.
Right.
They formed the East Trenton Committee.
Old people from East Trenton.
Old heads. They formed the Locust Hill Committee. And they're the ones, they sent me down to City Hall. Nate Walker was the councilman at the time. And Nate's works for the county. He's the election superintendent of elections.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that was an aside. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's an aside. Well, anyway,
get Nate on here.
I asked Nate. I was his assistant. I asked him to put that to the administration at the time. And they originally came back and said, no, our records didn't show anything. And they said, well, let us check again. And when they did, they found out it was a graveyard. Well, now it's a problem, because the law says there's only certain things you can do when you discover a graveyard. You can't build anything on it. There was a building there already, and it was all trashed up. But the people kept pushing.
There was a building on the graveyard?
Yes, they sold part of the parcel to the Philadelphia Freight Company, because the Assunpink Creek right there on the other side is all those freight yards.
Right.
So that was a trucking terminal. So if they unload the trains, they put them on trucks and they send it all over. Trenton makes the world takes.
Right.
And so we were, they were unloading trains and putting them on trucks and taking all the material, the goods around off from a train to a truck. And then they had built a garage there. Well, that thing fallen in deep disrepair. And there was a lot of question if that section of the graveyard was actually used as a graveyard. And someone made the statement that it was never used as a graveyard. So that's why they were able to sell that part of it and build that land. And there's some strong evidence that may have been true. that the front part had contained the burials, but the very last part closest to the creek had never had burials, but we weren't sure. So we had to do ground penetrating radar. We did ground penetrating radar. They had done some earlier in what's called a Fisher report, an environmental report that was done by the city. It was commissioned by the city of Trenton to do a study.
When was that?
The Fisher report, I believe, was 97. Don't quote me on that. I think it's.
I just wanted a roundabout.
It may have been earlier than 97, maybe 95.
Yeah. Okay.
And then they asked the Hunter Research company here in the city of Trenton to do a document search, and they came up with some marvelous information. They went back and looked at the deeds. They went back and looked at the newspaper articles and whatever they could find, and they issued what's called the Hunter Report. It was done by Damon Tavarianis, who worked for Hunter Research at the time, but now he's president of the Trenton Historical Society board, and I'm on that board.
Okay.
Damon wrote the Hunter Report, and then they did a second report called the Mazer Report, which was even more extensive. And so a lot of the information that I'm sharing with you comes out of the Fisher Report, the Hunter Report, and the Mazer Report. Now, one of the interns that worked for Hunter, after he left, this is where I know there's a God. He kept going on the research, and he found even more names. And he was a student at Trenton State College. And he turned that in as one of his papers.
Uh-huh.
Now, when I met the faculty to help,
okay,
one of the teachers said, I got some information for you. I said, what? He said, Miss Bates, Diane Bates. She said, one of my students wrote a paper on that, and it was so good I kept it. Here.
Yep.
You see that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh my God. I got chills. I'm like, and I looked at it. The Mazer Report has 175 names. Vincent Corazza's paper has 200 names.
Mm-mm.
So it added another 25, 30 names to what we had.
Right.
And like I said, it was just one of those, that's the hand of God moving, man.
Yep.
What are the chances of me getting a paper from a student years ago who had left it with that teacher, and she kept it because it was so good?
Yep.
And turn it over to me, who's working on that project. My God. Anyway.
So how's that make you feel, man? I mean,
it makes me feel all the as we went through was worth it, brother. What we're doing is hearkening to the call of the ancestors. Do not forget us. Bring us back to the light. Tell the people our story so that they can stand up straight and understand they came from somewhere. When I said there was luminaries buried there, I said Mount Zion Church was the first. It was first called the Free African Congregation of Trenton, right? They used to meet in a barrel shop called a barrel is a cooper, right? And the barrel maker was they met at his shop. It is now called Cooper Street. It's named after him, his shop where he made barrels. Well, he was a lead in the congregation, and they formed the Free African Society of Trenton, New Jersey. They were Methodists. The Methodist congregation, there was segregation there. So when Richard Allen came from Philadelphia, his name might be familiar to y'all who in the AME Church. He's the founder of the AME Church, Mother Bethel, in Philadelphia. Well, what's the closest city to Philly?
Yeah,
Trenton. So one of his early forays into evangelizing the AME Church was he came to Trenton, and that became Mount Zion AME.
Okay.
So Richard Allen literally came to Trenton to help found Mount Zion,
Okay.
the founder of the AME congregation. And the Cooper, who became the pastor, he was ordained as an AME, and he served the people of Trenton. And the Mount Zion Church became the training ground for all of the AME ministers throughout New Jersey. What happened? They had over 19 ministers in 4 years. They would bring these guys in, train them, make them ministers, and send them out, and they go to where? Pennington, to Mount Zion Church in Pennington. They went to Hopewell. They went to everything up north. They spread out from Trenton. Trenton makes the world takes come out. How many times I got to tell you?
There you go, brother. There you go.
And
People don't understand just how real that statement is. You know, it wasn't just manufactured goods; it was people.
Oh yeah,
You know,
right.
So,
And the AME Church sent those men out from Trenton to Philadelphia, of course, and they began to convert these small black congregations into AME. So if you look at the AME churches going from Trenton North and Trenton South, the epicenter was right here in Trenton, New Jersey. Most of and this is just one of the leaders of that. He's buried in Locust Hill.
okay.
Any other kind of official, because Mount Zion was made of free people, the people of means went to Mount Zion. And those were business people. They were people in the political realm. They were landowners. They were people of means. And they were buried in the Mount Zion Cemetery, the Negro burial ground that I mentioned. So they were moved out to Locust Hill as well. So not only was it a church graveyard, when it became the Locust Hill Cemetery Company, when they opened it in 1860, they made it non-sectarian. In other words,
So when did they close it?
Well, what happened? This is an interesting story. In 1884, Governor Abbott of New Jersey passed what was called the Negro Burial Bill, which meant there would be no more segregated cemeteries in New Jersey. And the reason he did that, because this is after the Civil War. After the Civil War, his congregation had a what do they call him? A sextant at the church. Is a black soldier. He had come back from the war and he went to the church. Everybody loved him. He was a sweet man. He helped keep the church clean. He led Sunday schools, and the governor at that was before he was elected, attended that church, and he fell in love with the guy. He was just a sweetheart of a person. And when he died, they couldn't bury him at the church. Segregated cemeteries. Governor Abbott was furious. He said, we just fought a war to free the slaves, and here we are in New Jersey still segregating the slaves. So I'm putting a bill through the legislature to break all this down. So he passed the Negro Burial Bill in 1884. But what that did was, now you can be buried anywhere you want to. And in Trenton, by the way, they had already experimented with putting blacks in the public cemetery. There was a public cemetery. It's called, I think it's out there off of Layler Street. That was a public cemetery.
Okay.
So they had actually snuck some blacks into a section over there, under the radar. But once he signed the Negro Burial Bill, of course, you can be buried wherever you want to now. So blacks started being buried wherever they wanted to, wherever they can afford a plot. They didn't want to be confined to the segregated cemetery. So the number of burials began to dwindle. And of course, if you don't get a lot of burials, you don't make a lot of money. And the older people who were the trustees of the cemetery, they started dying off. And the church itself sold part of the parcel that we talked about where the building was to make a park. And James Olmsted, the same person who designed Cadwalader Park, was designing the Locust Hill Park. In fact, he was on city council and they approved it and everything, but they never put no money in it. And once somebody saw a chance to buy the property, they claimed there was never a graveyard. and they built the Philadelphia Freight Building on that plot of land.
So now, what's this news? This new news you have to share with the people.
Like I said, it comes from the bottom up.
Uh-huh.
To open a museum, our architects gave us an estimate. It was going to be up to $750,000 to do that, to bring it up to museum standards. Now, you can't do that selling fish sandwiches. All right. And we were open for donations. In fact, the Black employees from Amazon gave us a $10,000 check. But that's not putting a dent in it. And I knew that we would have a very long slog if we had to try to raise that out of our pockets. But I went to the same legislature that created the Locust Hill Cemetery in the first place. I worked with Valina Jackson Reynolds, and I drew up a draft of a legislature, and I looked at what the legislature had passed in the previous years, and they were giving money to all kinds of historic sites throughout Mercer County. And I'm like, well, why not us? Hold up. We're constituents. We have a historic site. We need your help. And we did put together a draft legislation and submitted it. And like I said, God smiled down on us. The legislature, well, we made a very strong presentation. I think there was enough history associated with the Locust Hill that everyone could see that it had a genuinely significant historical background. And they passed that legislation. So they're giving us $400,000.
Whoa! 400 grand?
400 G's, baby.
Damn.
That's cheese. You know what I'm saying? Not $400, $400,000.
$400,000. And you're gonna do what with that money?
We're gonna open a museum. That's all we can do with it. That's what the appropriation is for. That's what we're gonna do with it. I mean, absolutely, soup to nuts.
So you're gonna get artifacts and information.
We got them already. We're gonna have a multimedia display. We have artifacts already that we dug it up from the ground. We're doing a historical research on the people that are buried there. That's the work. I try to work with Baye Kemet from the Garvey School. Mm-hmm. I got Sam. We formed what's called the Locust Hill Project Team. Very impressive. Like I said, from the ground up. The Locust Hill Committee asked me to come in and be the 6th Regiment United States Colored Troops to be the nonprofit sponsor for the Locust Hill Project, and we agreed.
Okay.
And they put me as the project director. And I put together a team. Sam Stevens, PhD, from the Trent House. John Hatch from Clark Caton Hines Architects. Damon Tavarianis, president of Trenton Historical Society. Chris Shimchick from Isles. Linda Caldwell Epps, Dr. Epps from the Sankofa Collaborative and professor from Rutgers University, 2 members from the community, Lisa Toro, who used to live in the house. It was her mother who sent me down to ask about, she said, there's a graveyard in my yard. Go down and see about it. And that's when I went to Dave Walker. It was her mother, Miss Ethel Wilkins, who was also on the Locust Hill Committee to this day. So she's on the board, and myself. And I insisted that we have a Black architect. We first had a guy named Grayling Johnson, and then we now have an architectural student, Kasim, who's now got an internship at Clark Caton Heights, and he's helping us with the architectural designs. So we've had architectural drawings, and now we're about to get into the construction with this money coming through. And by the way, you're invited next Thursday, 10 o'clock. They handing over the check. You got to be there. You definitely got to.
What's that, 27th?
27th, 10 a.m., 73 Hart Avenue.
Okay.
they're going to have me the big ceremonial check, and
very good, very good, very good.
yeah.
Very
So
good.
it just would not be a ceremony without Kamau there talking stuff.
The only stuff I talk now is good morning, nice to see you.
You ain't changed that much.
I know that's the truth.
But we are thrilled.
You should be. You really should be. You've come a long way, brother, from grass-strewn parking lot, tires and junk, to $400,000, about to open up a functioning historic museum. Man, you've come a long, long way.
Trenton's first Black museum.
Yep. Yeah.
And we're not going to stop here, brother, because I'm convinced. Now, you asked me about how come somebody hasn't figured out how to stabilize the economy in Trenton. And the truth is, nobody's coming to rescue us. These factories that left us are not coming back. All right, let's be clear. The retail has been sucked out of Trenton to the malls. That's not coming back. So what do we have? We have our history. This is the beauty of it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
We can get Black historic tourism to come to the city. Your history won't leave. And this is the beauty of it. We're going to generate income from our ancestors who left us that history today.
Work it, my brother. Work it.
It's the Sankofa bird.
I hear you.
Look back.
I hear you.
It's the egg.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because we have a lot of history in this. We have the Carver Center.
I was about to bring that up. Lisa Toro is working with the Carver Center and the Higby School.
That's the same Lisa Toro whose mom used to live in the house on Locust. Okay.
I asked her to be on our board of directors.
Okay.
And she's agreed. So, but her project was the Higby School. You think we ain't going to try to get appropriation for Higby School and the Carver Y next?
That's true.
We going right after it.
Very good. Now, are you working at all with Mount Zion? Not Mount Zion. I'm talking about Shiloh, because I know Reverend Armstrong is building an edifice there on what is that, Bellevue also.
Well, actually, I worked with Reverend Boyer, who's the pastor of Mount Zion, the Greater Mount Zion.
Okay.
They moved from
they're up on Pennington now. But they still own the church on Perry Street. Okay.
And that is the original, progenitor. They formed the Locust Hill Company.
Okay.
Out of their congregation, and many of the people who were buried in their churchyard were moved to Locust Hill when that land began to get acquired.
You ever work with the African American cemetery up in Pennington?
Yes. Years ago. In fact, it's how strange this is. Years ago, when they started working to restore that cemetery, they invited us, the 6th Regiment, up there to do ceremony up there.
Okay.
So we went up there and, we fired our rifles. And then they gave us the name of one of the soldiers buried. His name was Charles Boyer. I wrote a whole presentation on that soldier and gave it as a presentation one time. It was great. And see, that's the beauty of it. I had to read up on it. And man. He was guess who spoke at his graduation? Frederick Douglass.
No joke.
Yeah, that's who spoke at his graduation from school, and he brought it up. And then as I read more, I'm floored by the history. I have a saying now: we weren't observers of history; we were participants in history. We made history.
That's right.
Okay, this is not borrowed. And anybody who tells you that the United States could be what it is today without our contribution don't know what they're talking about.
That's very, very true.
And so I have now taken ownership of my American citizenship. All right. It
I
was,
hear
you know, it was questionable about one time, you know,
Uh-huh.
us being the only people who have to have our citizenship renewed. But now I see what our ancestors sacrificed to buy my ticket to citizenship. I ain't giving it up.
I don't understand that,
In
man.
fact, I will fight you about it.
Yeah.
I will defend the United States the way
Yeah.
that the United States colored troops did. 209,000 United States colored troops. 11 regiments from right here in this area. The 6th regiment that we represent, the 45th regiment, they were from Trenton. And now, when we've resurrected the names and found another unknown soldier, I can't, yeah.
Okay.
All I can say is that God's hand is moving in this well beyond my ability. I couldn't affect the outcomes like this. I ain't got that in me. Those fortuitous things that have happened well beyond my power. And so I humble myself and accept his grace and do what I can, apply what skills I got to try to move the project forward. So I am so pleased and I'm humbled that, you know, the work that we've done has resulted in, you know, hasn't happened yet, but I can see the end of the trail now. We still need about $350,000 to completely do it. So we're not done yet, but we're more than halfway.
Don't worry about it.
Oh yeah, because what happens is when other organizations see somebody else stepping in, they step in too. Because Mercer County, by the way, we're part of the Assunpink Greenway project.
Yeah.
They were allocated a lot of money
recently.
And one of the things they were allocated money for was for a passive meeting place.
Okay.
Now,
have you got money from the city of Trenton?
They make promises.
Yeah, well, it's coming.
Well, I'll put it to you this way. When we tried to get this a property, we were told it couldn't be a museum because the city master plan did not specifically say we could have museum. It said you could have passive use. But we said, well, museums are passive use. They said, no, it has to say museum specifically. So I went before the former city council and they were altering the 250 plan. The city of Trenton planning department, we asked them, and this city where the city did help, J.R. Capasso for the city was housing urban development, did solicit from the planning department to include museums in the upgrade of the Trenton 250 plan. And this city council, the last city council, and let me tell you how I had to cuss them out on the phone 12 o'clock at night, cussing each other out, by the way, to make sure that this would be put on the docket. And it did. It was put on the docket and they passed it. And they designated us as the developers of the project. So now the Assunpink Greenway plan includes museums.
Well, it's nice that they put it on the docket and they proved they need to give up some money, you know. They got millions of dollars down there that they got from Biden for COVID, and, you know, so they got money to give up, you know, and not very many things are worthy as this is. But brother, we got to go, man. We've been on here almost an hour. You know,
I'm sorry.
Hey, you don't be sorry. Shit, this is good information. This is good information. You know?
It's exciting, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It really is, Algie. It really is. So we appreciate you being here, man. And next Thursday at 10 o'clock, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, at on Locust Street.
On Hart Avenue, H-A-R-T.
Hart Avenue.
Yes, sir.
Hart Avenue off of North Clinton.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll be there.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, now, of course, you know, I forget things quickly, but if I don't forget, I'll be there. Huh?
Write it down.
I
Come
do.
on.
I write it down. I put it on the damn calendar. and at 9:30, I say, okay, I gotta go. And then by 9:45, I'll be what? But that's for everybody out there. Next Thursday, 10 o'clock, Hart Avenue. Be there.
Yes,
All
please come. Please
right,
come.
brother.
We're doing a celebration. And
All
thank
right.
you for having me, Kamau, in all seriousness. Thank you for keeping our people's consciousness raised.
Brother, you the one, man. You the one. Yeah, I know.
Well,
Appreciate it very much.
Yes, sir.
All right. Take care, Ouch.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Whew. Wasn't that just beautiful? Michael, wasn't that just beautiful?
Yes, it was.
Hey, there you are.
Yes, it
See?
was. Yes, it was. And I'll go next Thursday.
Good.
I'll go next Thursday, and I'll film it.
Very good. Very good. You know, so
Yeah.
we'll be well represented. You know, phew, that was exciting. You know, that was a lot of information, and I enjoy. I was thrilled. It was tingling. You know, when he kept joining the pieces together. You know,
Right. Pieces to the puzzle.
right on up. Yeah. And then he put in Lisa. I said, well, Lisa, you know a little bit. No? You know Lisa?
I probably know, but I don't know.
Around. Shoot. You know? Okay. Well, that's
All right.
good too. So,
I'm gonna
anyway.
go over there.
Huh?
I'm gonna go over there to that cemetery and check it out.
Good. Very good. Very good. Very good. I wonder who we got next week. You know who we got next week? I don't ever know who we have next week.
We got a guest next week too.
Shawnee. Oh, he's. But anyway, we got somebody. We'll be here next week. Then who was that said something? I got a comment. Who said that? That was Doreen Harmon. She enjoyed the show. Yeah, that was a good presentation. I didn't want to interrupt the brother because then the brother was doing his thing. So
Mr. Ward.
that was a good thing. And very good. Okay, all right. So let's get out of here. We'll see you next week. 8 o'clock. Don't know who it is, but it'll be good. I can guarantee you that. All right. Good night. We love you. Thank you to everybody, people who put this show together. We got to thank Algernon. We got to thank our viewing public. We want to thank our production team. We just want to thank everybody. You know, love you very much.
Alan Sean.
Huh?
Alan Sean.
Yeah. Okay. Good night, y'all. Be cool.